Like and subscribe right now, or else this will be under your bed tonight. r/AskReddit by Mr. Editor. What is the kindest thing you've done or seen? When my wife gave birth to our firstborn, the woman she had shared a ward with, while in the early stages of labor, had a stillbirth. After giving birth, rather than spending time bonding with her newborn, my exhausted wife gave me our son, and spent 3 hours comforting and consoling this woman. Something about the bond of mothers seemed to connect them. The woman and her husband have since become close family friends, and had 2 beautiful children after this. They still credit the support we, mostly my wife, gave them in the period of time after the stillbirth, especially in those 3 hours, with helping them get through their grief. The kindest act I've ever seen done by the kindest person I've ever met. Your wife is a keeper. You definitely should marry her. I'm epileptic. Once, during a school assembly, I had a seizure. It was pretty bad too. When I woke up, the first people I saw were my English teacher, and she was smiling and telling me it would be okay, and my health teacher, who was apparently the first person to run and get me help. I was in a super emotional state after the seizure, and I began to cry and say I'm sorry. I was hushed by my teacher and helped down the bleachers by them. My health teacher, my English teacher, my choir director and the school counselor all stayed by me until I got into the ambulance. My literature teacher also ended up sending me a very nice video of her and all of her family wishing me well. Another seizure I had, I was at a con, standing in line to get David Tennant's autograph. I was so excited that I had a seizure, and after I woke up I was wheeled back behind a curtain that was behind the booth. A moment later, David Tennant's agent came up to me and asked me what color pen I wanted. I was confused, but I said black. After he said that, he explained that David wanted to come back and make sure I was okay, which he did. The first thing he said to me was, "What are you doing falling down on me?" And he walked over and we had a full conversation. He asked my name and autographed the book I had brought for him to. I got a picture, a conversation and an autograph from David Tennant. And this was big. I'm a huge fangirl for him. All he wanted was to make sure I was okay. This is my favorite. I love David Tennant and really hoped he was as cool as he seems. I donated stem cells to a stranger. I matched with them almost a year ago, and the procedure was completed in December. It's a very impersonal experience because of the anonymity of it. I didn't know anything about the patient I was donating to, and they knew nothing about me. It wasn't until I received a letter from her, this morning no less, that it really hit me how much of an impact it had on her life. For me it was a cheek swab I did in college 4 years ago, and then a random email saying that I had matched with someone. It was eye-opening to read her letter, because after the pandemic I hadn't really thought about it for a while. Of course, it was a profound experience donating life-saving stem cells to someone, but not knowing where those cells were going after the procedure left me feeling sorta empty. It wasn't until today that I really appreciated it. How did you donate the cells? Really just a cheek swab? That's interesting. The donation was extensive. I had to take drugs to increase my stem cell count for 2 weeks before having those cells taken out of my body through a blood cycling machine called a hemosep. The cheek swab is used to find DNA matches between patients. I broke my foot while bouldering a week into my semester abroad. I had never been out of the country before, so I was absolutely panicking. A total stranger came right over after I fell, recorded important info for the paramedics, and spent the next 10 or so minutes while waiting for the ambulance asking me questions about my studies and my research. I mentioned I was a student. He asked such thoughtful questions and was so kind and able to calm me down, even though I was absolutely freaking out. I wish I could be as chill and amazing as this guy. Sounds like this guy had experience in how to deal with people in the middle of physical trauma. Could have been a medic considering he made sure to note what was wrong with you. Regardless, he's a saint. Hope your foot isn't causing too much trouble. I reached out to dozens of people my dad has known and told me stories about throughout the years. Cousins, relatives, cowhawkers, groomsmen, friends throughout his adult years, friends from childhood, and even from his recently deceased dad before he passed away. I asked them if they could share a memory or picture they had of him. I was overwhelmed by the responses. So many people wrote back, even people I had missed, but had heard about it through the grapevine. It was so kind of those people to dig through their archives and spend the time to do that. I compiled them all into a box and gave it to him for his 60th birthday. My dad and the rest of our family all really enjoyed reading the letters and seeing long lost photographs. What a great idea. With COVID-19, my mum's birthday party may be cancelled. I may do this instead. Make a PowerPoint and have a video party for her. That reminds me of an idea my cousin suggested to all the nieces and nephews on that side of the family. She asked if we would all hold up a word, or a few, on a paper, take a picture holding it, and send it to her. Now, I usually don't really see family, unless it's Christmas, and I don't like it when anyone takes pictures of me. But I thought I'd participate for once. Eventually she put the pictures in order, then put that image on a balloon to give to our grandma in these lonely times. The words were, "You're not alone. We are thinking of you three with much love, from all of the grandchildren," but in Dutch. I really appreciate her idea to help our grandma.